Are you spreading me open right now?
No, that is your baby.
Guys, we have a baby. Which means that we're gonna be talking a little quiet in this video. Shh, 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 shh. Dang it. It's okay. Okay.
I told you this wasn't gonna work. I told you this wasn't gonna work.
Alright guys, so we are back and we are parents now. I am 3 weeks postpartum as of yesterday. And how's it been going so far, Joshua?
It's been good.
It's been good, but we've been super busy, so we have not gotten around to filming this video until now. Our son is in the living room with his grandma. We would have loved to hold him during this video so that you guys could see how cute and little he is, but he didn't want to be on camera, so grandma's looking after him. We are so excited to share our birth story with you guys today. The birth went completely different to how we had planned, but it makes for a really good story, so we're really excited to share it with you. And we have a lot of footage from the labor and birth, so we're going to be cutting back and forth between us here telling the story and the footage of the labor and delivery. So at around 36 weeks, I started noticing that I was getting very, very itchy.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, understatement of the century. I was literally putting my feet in like boiling hot water just because the pain was a distraction from the itching. I couldn't sleep at night. I was giving myself scabs and like not scabs, but like I was making myself bleed, and then eventually it turned into like scabs.
From itching.
From itching all on my legs and my arms, and I was just so itchy. And so I went to my clinic at 37 weeks and I told them that I had been super itchy, and immediately they were super proactive and they sent me for blood tests, a stool sample, urine sample, and a non-stress test. And a non-stress test is basically where they put these sensors on your stomach and then they can sense the baby's movement and heart rate and everything to make sure that your baby's not stressed. Hence, it's called a non-stress test. They were scared that I might have cholestasis, which is basically, I might do a bad job of explaining it, but it's basically when your bile acid levels get really high because your liver isn't metabolizing your bile well enough.
I think that's
basically what it is. And all it really does for the mom is it makes her itchy, and she can also get like jaundice and stuff, but nothing super serious for the mom, but it does make your system a pretty toxic place for the baby to be. So they wanted to find out if my bile acid levels were high. So that's why they were sending me for all of these tests and just making sure that the baby was okay. The first time I went for all of these tests, everything came back perfect, except my liver enzymes were elevated. But my bile acid levels weren't super high, so they still weren't super worried, and my non-stress test went really well. Didn't look like our son was in any kind of distress. So they just said, okay, well, we'll just send you for all of these tests again next week to see how things are going. So next week, I'm 38 weeks, and we do the same thing. I go for all of these tests. I don't really hear anything for a couple days, and then I get a phone call one evening. It's this midwife from my clinic, and she just goes, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm good, thanks. How are you?" And she's like, "I'm good. So we just got your bile acid levels back, and it looks like they have elevated quite significantly since last week. So we feel pretty confident in saying that you do have cholestasis, and we were wondering if you want to come in tonight and have a baby." And I was like, "What?"
Just drop that.
Yeah, at 38 weeks. So first I asked her if it could wait a few days because my mom was coming from New Zealand specifically to be at my birth. And my mom was going to be there in like 3 days. So I asked if it could wait. And then she said, "Well, we're not really worried about your baby right now because your non-stress test came back really good. Doesn't look like he's in distress. But if your bile acid levels keep increasing, then there is a chance of a stillbirth. So I think you should come in tonight." And the second she said stillbirth, I was like, I'm gonna be there. But I couldn't get to the hospital straight away because my husband was missing. If you watch our channel often, I'd love if you guys commented down below where you think my husband was. So just pause right now, comment down below where you think he was, and then we'll share where he was in 3, 2, 1.
Disc golfing.
Yeah, at a course with no reception or service. So I could not get a hold of him, and I called him like 6 times trying to get a hold of him. And then I was just like, whatever, I'm just gonna finish packing the hospital bags, shower, get ready, and then he'll call me back when he calls me back.
So she finally got through to me, and I was like almost done the course, but the reception was so bad I could barely hear what she was saying. And she'd get like one word out, and then it would like cut out, and I was like, okay, I'll just call you back in a little bit when I have reception.
Did you have any idea what I was trying to say?
No idea. So I just I was at like hole 15 of 18. By like hole 17, I was able to have some service, so I called you. And then you were like, hey, so the nurse just called, and
I actually recorded the conversation.
Oh, did you?
I did, so we can insert the conversation here. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so the hospital just called me, and I have cholestasis, and they're gonna induce me tonight.
Holy crap.
Yeah, my bile acids came back, like, really high, so we could potentially have a baby tonight.
Holy crap.
Yeah, which is why I need you to come home urgently.
Okay.
We are at the hospital because we got the call that my bile acid results were high. So it's safest for them to induce me and have a baby here now.
That was Dad.
Josh's dad is coming to get the keys from us so he can take our dog to his house. But yeah, so we're here without a baby, and then we'll be leaving with a baby.
This is just crazy.
Does it feel real?
Nope.
I know, I feel like we're acting. I feel like we're lying to you, but we're not lying.
Yeah,
this is real.
this is all put on. We're faking it just for the views.
I'm not even pregnant.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I will be 39 weeks. And this whole time I've been
here
saying...
comes Dad.
Okay, do you want to meet
Okay, bye!
So this whole time I've been saying that I have a gut feeling that our baby is going to come at the end of 38 weeks at the start of 39. And I'm literally 39 weeks tomorrow. So that is just crazy. We're not worried about his safety at all because I had a non-stress test this morning and he was super healthy. He's been moving. His heart rate's great. He's super alert. So we're not worried about him, but it's just better to induce me now before my levels get even higher. So I feel very, very excited. I feel very calm. I've been praying God's timing over this birth my whole pregnancy, so I believe that this is his timing. And yeah, just so excited to go in soon and get induced and meet my baby. We just can't wait to meet you, little boy. Your dad and I are so excited to meet you. Ah! Doesn't feel real. Papa's getting the hospital bags. So as soon as we got to the hospital, they wanted to check how dilated I was. They wanted to check how far along I already was because that would play a big part in what kind of induction process they did for me because there are different ways to induce someone. And so they checked me and I was 2 centimeters dilated, and that was around 9 p.m, like 8:30 p.m, 9 p.m. And people always talk about how you need to be dilated for birth, which is like dilating is like how much your cervix is opening up for the baby to come through, but also your cervix has to thin. So like if you're not in labor, your cervix, like a normal woman's cervix, is like 4 centimeters. Mine was at 2 centimeters, so I was like halfway effaced. which is still nowhere near enough for giving birth. If you're fully effaced, your cervix is like as thin as a piece of paper, so it's really, really thin. And I just wasn't there yet. So we had to decide if I was going to do what's called a Foley catheter induction or a cervidil induction. The way that it was presented to us, it was like the Foley catheter was the way to go. However, the Foley catheter was a terrible experience for me.
So poor Alicia is in a lot of pain right now. We just did the Foley catheter and ouch, she's in a lot of pain. So she's hanging in there. You're being so strong, and I love you very much.
I love you. They checked me before they did the catheter, and because they just wanted to see like how dilated I was naturally, and they said that I was already at 2 centimeters, and they could feel his head, which is good. But then basically what the Foley catheter is this thing that they shove up your vagina.
I don't really understand exactly how it works, but
then it's like a balloon that they like blow up to like make your cervix dilate. And so that's basically just in me right now, and that's gonna be sitting there in my cervix causing cramping and just like so much discomfort until I'm 4 centimeters, and then it's naturally gonna fall out. And that can take up to 12 hours. The doctor that put the Foley catheter in, she had to like put her fingers around my cervix and like pull it down in order to get the Foley catheter in, which was an extremely painful experience. They had to try twice because I couldn't even go through with it the first time. And you said that you'd never seen anyone in that kind of pain.
Never seen anybody. Like, I've seen people like break bones and stuff. I've broken my leg before, and it didn't look anything nearly as painful.
Say what
as
it
that.
looked like, what you said it looked like.
It looked like somebody was like strapped to a bed, and then somebody just like had like lighting a candle underneath them, just like a flame just on their bare back, and they just like
We're trying to move away.
Yeah, trying to move away, but like also like you need to stay kind of still.
Yeah, I could not stay still. It was so painful.
It looked awful.
So eventually the Foley catheter was making my contractions 4 minutes apart and about 30 to 45 seconds long, which is a pretty good sign that active labor is on the horizon. But it also meant that I was in a lot of pain. So I ended up being given some morphine and Gravol that they like injected into my leg, and it was 10 milligrams. And that took the edge off of the pain so that I was able to fall asleep. I was like in and out of sleep because of how painful it was, but it helped me to at least be able to sleep. One of the nurses was really nice, and she like helped me breathe through the contractions.
Oh, that lady was an angel.
I know, she was so lovely.
She was so amazing.
Yeah. But then early hours of the morning, I woke up and my Foley catheter fell out, which was really good. But I realized that I could not feel my baby move at all. And he had always been very active during my pregnancy. And so I was freaking out quite a bit. And during this whole stay, they had been doing non-stress tests every 3 hours. And we were getting up to the 3-hour mark where they had to come in and give me another non-stress test anyway. So I pressed the button and the nurse came in, and I just told her, hey, I can't feel him moving, and I haven't felt him moving for a while. My Foley catheter fell out. Will you please do a non-stress test? So she did a non-stress test, and his heart rate was hanging out at around between 109 and 112, which is really low for him because his heart rate was usually between like 135, 145 during all of our appointments. And she even said to us, oh, we don't worry unless it goes below 110. But then we saw it hit 109, which was like so scary. And then I just had so much guilt because I felt like the morphine that I took had lowered my baby's heart rate, and what if his heart was going to stop because of me? So that was a pretty scary situation, and they were giving me juice to try and get my sugar levels up to maybe wake him up and have him move. I was like bouncing on a bouncing ball. I was changing positions, but we couldn't do anything to get him to move.
Mm-hmm.
We basically just had to wait for the morphine to wear off. It's just such a scary feeling when you already know that you're high risk, and now your baby's heartbeat has dropped and you're being used to feeling him move all the time, and all of a sudden he's not moving anymore.
And this is a new experience for us as well. So we don't know a lot of what to expect, so it's a little more scary.
But yeah, once the morphine wore off, he started moving again, which was really good. But that just made me feel like I didn't want to take morphine again because that was a really scary experience. The weird thing was, though, is that even though my Foley catheter had fallen out, which would mean that I'm at 4 centimeters, my contractions and cramping had completely stopped. So I was really confused because I thought 4 centimeters would mean I'm in active labor, right? So why have my contractions stopped? So they did another cervical check, which was, again, very painful. I think that when they put the Foley catheter in, they did something to my cervix, maybe scratched it, or I don't even know, but every cervical check after that was super painful. And when they checked me, I was 2 centimeters dilated, which was such a disappointment because I thought that I was going to be in labor the next day.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have my baby the next morning.
all the pain was going to be worth it.
Yeah, I thought all the pain was going to be worth it. I was going to be in full-on labor in the morning. But no, I had to have contractions and stuff all night long, have that scary experience with my baby's heart rate dropping, all for nothing. And I wasn't any more effaced than I was to begin with. Oh, actually, they said to me, you're 2 to 3 centimeters dilated. And then I said, what does that mean? They said, oh, you're stretchy too. So, like, I'm 2 centimeters, but they could stretch me to 3. But I think they just said that to make me feel better.
It didn't work.
No. So then it was time for plan B, which was the Cervidil. So they inserted the Cervidil.
Another really uncomfortable, painful process.
Yes.
But it wasn't as bad as the Foley.
Wasn't as bad as the Foley catheter.
It just... Actually, you were like, oh my gosh, is it over already? And she was like, yeah, I'm actually done. You were like, oh my gosh.
Thank God.
Yes.
Because the Foley catheter took way longer as well.
Took a long time.
Just to pull it down. So they put the Cervidil in and they're like, okay, we'll just let it do its thing. Surely enough, I start getting cramping and contractions, but they weren't as bad as the cramps and contractions from the Foley catheter, but they were still pretty uncomfortable and pretty painful. But I didn't want to take any morphine because I was traumatized by the morphine. So the plan that they gave us now was that I was going to stay on the Cervidil throughout the day, and then in a little bit they were going to check my cervix again, see how dilated I was, how effaced I was, and then they were probably going to go and break my water and give me some oxytocin, which will speed things along. My main source of pain relief during the day was Joshua using the massage gun on my back. That evening, I had my first, real turnaround, I would say, which was I had a really bad headache. It was borderline migraine that all of a sudden came on, and I had so much pressure in my cervix, on my cervix, that I couldn't stand up straight. I was leaning over the bed and eating my dinner.
How you feeling, Alicia?
Hungry, and there's a lot of pressure on my cervix. Can you tell?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Throughout all of that as well, they were monitoring the baby and giving me lots of non-stress tests, and they even gave me an ultrasound just to make sure that baby boy was still doing all right. So 7 hours later, they decide to do a cervical check on me again because I've had the Cervidil in me for 7 hours at this point. And when they checked me, I was how many centimeters, Josh? Do you remember? I was 2 centimeters dilated. The same. Once again, they said 2 to 3. Which is just so discouraging. But the part that was at least giving me a little bit of hope is that they checked how effaced I was, and that they said that I had gone now from 2 centimeters to 1 centimeter. So at least I was more effaced, but still so discouraging. I'd been laboring all day, and I hadn't taken any morphine, and I was just so exhausted. But then the doctor who did the cervical check that time said to me, we feel like because you're more effaced, we would break your water and give you Pitocin right now to get labor started. And then I burst into tears because I just did not want to have anyone touching my cervix again.
And I also didn't really, I didn't say it, but I did not want them to break your water.
Really?
No, I did not want that. Because it's just not like a natural thing, you know? It's not just it happening.
I mean, none of it was natural.
Yeah, but also I just felt like that was just too fast.
Yeah, I know. I just
Like,
started
I wasn't
crying.
ready, yeah. You weren't ready.
No, I was in so much pain, and I knew that if they broke my water, they'd have to go up to my cervix again, and I did not want to go through that, and I knew that then I was going to have super painful contractions, because Pitocin makes your contractions more painful than just like naturally going into labor.
So this is when the doctor actually came in and sat next to you and just said, hey, like, I think we're just going to wait until the morning because I could give you the
Pitocin.
I could give you the Pitocin and I could break your water, but I honestly feel like it would be trying to fit through a closed door, trying to break down a closed door, or however she said it, or
Like, she said, like, knocking on a door that won't open, or something like that.
yeah, because your cervix is just not actually ready.
It's not quite
and
there.
then the medicine is just going to be contraction on a cervix that's not opened enough. And she's like, I just don't want to do that to you. Let's wait till morning.
Which was nice of her.
I really appreciated that because she made that very clear that she was like looking out for Alicia.
Yeah.
And was like, I don't want to do that to you.
And she could see how much pain I was in.
Yeah.
So after talking to her, I had the hope that my cervix would be ripe enough in the morning. She said she'd be very surprised if it wasn't ripe enough in the morning for them to then come in and break my water. But she also said,
I don't think that it'll break on its own.
yeah. So then that night, I really did not want to take more morphine because I was traumatized by what had happened before when I took the morphine and then my baby wasn't moving and his heart rate was dropping. But I was in so much pain. And after talking to the nurses and the doctors, they were telling us that the 10 milligrams that they had given me was their standard low dose and that they give it to everyone and that it's never caused problems with the baby or the mom before, and they understand that it was scary for me, but I really am like safe by taking the morphine. And they were also just saying I need a good night's sleep because I was probably going to be having a baby tomorrow.
And be a long day.
Yeah. I was on the phone with my parents after I took the morphine, and I was just FaceTiming them because they were in New Zealand, and I was just telling my parents how discouraged I was feeling from all of the pain that I had gone through, and it felt like it was for no reason because I was still 2 to 3 centimeters dilated, and I just felt so discouraged that it had been days and I still didn't have my baby. I still wasn't even in active labor. And then my mom asked me, what would you like me to pray for you? And I said, I just want you to pray that labor will come quickly and that I would have a safe birth. And my mom said, okay, I will definitely pray for that. But I also feel like I just want to pray that tonight your water will break on its own. And as she said those words, that your water would break on its own, I heard a pop. And I was like, what the heck? And it was exactly like what I had heard people describe before, that it feels like a rubber band snapping. I actually think I heard 2 pops. It was like a... And I felt it as well. And I was like, oh my gosh. And my parents are like, what? And I'm like, I think my water just broke. I was like, oh, I'll call you back. I need to check if my water just broke. So I hang up on them. I wake Josh up. I'm like, Josh, wake up. I was like, what? So Josh helps me up and I waddle over to the bathroom. And as I'm waddling over to the bathroom, there is just water like trickling down my leg, onto the floor, everywhere. And I was just like, what the heck? The nurse came in, she had like a little pH stick and she like tested it and she was like, yep, that's your amniotic fluid. Guys, my water literally just broke. We've been at the hospital for over 24 hours. I was on the phone with my mom on video chat and she goes, I'm gonna pray that your water breaks naturally. And I just heard a pop and my water's literally just broken. Like, what the heck?
That's just crazy.
That is actually crazy. About 5 to 10 minutes after the water broke, my contractions started and they were very close together. I was having 7 contractions every 10 minutes. And they had told me before that that was one of the risks of Cervidil, is that your contractions can be a lot closer together, and they had said that that could potentially be dangerous for the baby. So they put me on the bed, they put the sensors on my stomach so that they could really monitor my contractions. So I was just laboring on the bed. I had like a little birth comb for pain in one hand, and I was holding Josh's hand in my other hand and just trying to breathe through the contractions. But they were so close together that I basically only had time to like just catch my breath, and then the next one would start building. And it was just like relentless.
So after about like 30 minutes of pretty intense contractions, Alicia goes, "Give me the gas."
Yeah. They have like laughing gas, nitrous oxide. And I knew that that was something that I wanted to use during labor. And so I like lay on my side, and they gave it to me in this tube. And I was just like inhaling the laughing gas.
During your, or just before your contraction, and then throughout the contraction.
Yeah, as the contraction builds, you're supposed to start inhaling it. But the laughing gas made me so loopy that I wasn't even using it properly. Like, there was a point where I had my birth comb in the one hand and the laughing gas in the other hand, and I started sucking on the comb because I was like just so loopy.
And during the process of the laughing gas, she'd asked for some music, so I put on some music, and it's like, you got nurses, you've got me, you've got contractions, you've got laughing gas. Now she's asked for music.
And the massage gun.
And it's just a lot of stimulation. So she goes, no, not that song. So I put on another song. No, not that
It's
song.
a playlist that I made.
Yeah, so eventually...
like a worship playlist.
Yeah, eventually I get a song that's like kind of chill, and that she can kind of just... It can be on in the background and kind of just be like a prayer /
What song was it? Because I remember saying I want it on repeat.
Oh, it was the South African song.
Oh,
because
right.
at first I put on The Blessing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're like, no, not that. I was like, that's like the perfect song.
Yeah, it just wasn't my vibe.
Yeah.
And then at one point I even asked Josh to massage my feet with the massage gun, which I don't even know why I said that. I don't know if I was just so in tune with my body in that moment that I knew that there was like some kind of like acupuncture point on the bottom of my foot that was like going to help me feel better. I have no idea. Maybe I was just so loopy that that's what I wanted. But then say what I said to you while you were massaging my feet.
Oh, no. Get the black cord.
The black cord.
And I was like, zzz. Black cord. And like one of the nurses or doctors kind of like looked at me and was like, and I was like, and then you're like, no, the middle of my foot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, middle of her foot. But for whatever reason, your brain was like, middle of the foot. Yeah, that's called the black cord.
It was because I was so loopy and so exhausted.
And I was like, duh, like, I'm such an idiot. I should have known. Obviously, the middle of your foot's called the black cord.
Eventually, the contractions just got so intense and they were still so close together, and I was so tired that I asked for an epidural. But I asked for the epidural while the contraction was building. And I was inhaling the laughing gas. So they were like, okay, we need you to not have laughing gas, and it can't be during a contraction that you say that you want an epidural, so that I can consent to it, right?
But you're like always in a contraction.
But I'm always in a contraction because they're so close together. So by the time they said that to me, I was already in another contraction, and I was just like so over it. So I just stuck my thumb up like, yes, I mean it. I want the epidural. They look over at Josh, ask him, like, did
we hear her correctly?
He's like, get her the epidural.
So after about 30 minutes, the anesthesiologist comes in, and the room's prepped, he's ready to go, and he tells Alicia, okay, you gotta sit up now. And she's going through contractions this entire time, so it's really hard for her to sit up. Gets her to sit, I help her sit up on the edge of the bed, and he says, okay, this is what she needs to do, and you need to listen closely. She needs to take deep breaths through the whole process. She needs to hunch forward, and she cannot wiggle under any circumstances, okay? And so I'm like, dang, like there's a needle going in her back. Okay. So we sit her up. She's sitting on the edges. I hold both her hands or on her legs or whatever so that she's still. And I just repeat to her over and over again, deep breaths, hunch forward, no wiggling. Deep breaths, hunch forward, no wiggling.
Because I was too high to remember it. Like, Josh had to keep repeating it to me so that I could remember what I was supposed to be doing.
For like 5 minutes straight.
And to be honest, guys, while he was saying it to me, I thought, like, he's so annoying that he's repeating this. but I also had no idea why he was repeating it. I was like, why do I have to hunch over and, like, breathe deep, no wiggling? Like, why? Like, fully didn't even remember that I was busy getting an injection in my back. That is how much this laughing gas affected me. Mm-hmm. So once the epidural is in, some time goes by, and I ask the nurse, why is the epidural not working? And she's like, really? It's not working? I was like, no, I can still feel my contractions. So she gets a bag of ice and she puts it on my face, and she's like, okay, you feel how cold that is? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay, tell me if the ice is the same or less cold. So she slowly moves it down my body, and I'm like, same cold, same cold. Eventually she puts it like all the way down on like my right hip, and she's like, same or less cold? And I was like, same cold. And she's like, oh my goodness. I just didn't feel like the epidural was really hitting like how I wanted it to hit, because I had watched birth vlogs before where women get epidurals and they're like having a nap, they're just like living their best life, they go on their phone, they can't feel anything, and I could still feel a lot. I'm laboring like that for a while, and the nurse keeps asking me, do you feel like you need to push? Do you feel like you need to push? And I'm like, no, it's just burning. I just felt like this intense burning sensation that was just getting stronger and stronger. And then eventually I was like, I feel like I need to push. And it wasn't like a super strong feeling, but there was just the slightest hint of like, I feel like my body is starting to push a little bit. So she got the doctor, they did a cervical check, and they were like, you are 10 centimeters dilated and fully effaced. It's time to push. And that was crazy hearing that, because I felt like I had waited so long for them to say that. So I just kind of burst into tears.
Yeah.
And it was just really emotional. And I was like, I don't know why I'm crying. And they were like, oh,
don't worry about it.
They're like, it's all the emotions. You're about to meet your baby. Like, oh, that was just an insane
Actually, the
moment.
doctor said, you're going to beat your baby in a few hours.
Oh, yeah. That was a nurse, I think, that
was
said...
the doctor.
Oh, the doctor said, you're going to meet your baby in a few hours. And when I heard her say that, I just got this, like, competitiveness in me of, like, really? You think it's going to take me a few hours to push my baby out? And I just knew that it was go time, and I was going to push this baby out as fast as I could. I had about 2 pushes per contraction, and the contractions were still super close together.
So quick.
And I was just listening to everything the doctor was telling me when she was like, give us a hard push, or give us a medium push, or like quick small pushes. I was just listening to everything she was saying, and she also had a warm compress on me to help prevent tearing.
Yeah, there was a doctor and 2 nurses.
Doctor and 2 nurses.
And they were all, like, fantastic. They were super duper, like, they communicated really well, letting Alicia know exactly what's going on, and giving her, like, super good, easy to follow instructions. And then I was just chilling. I was like, okay, like, I'll just hold your hand, and, like... Yeah. Like, if she didn't hear something that they had said, or they had given her instruction that she needed to continue to remember, then I would be like, hey, by the way, you need to do this still. You
were also really good at giving me water and apple juice.
Oh, yes, true. Forgot about that.
Yeah, you were the reason I was hydrated.
Yeah, because it's really easy to forget when you're in the middle of that, and because you're breathing, it's a lot of pain, so that dries out your mouth. So I was just like, water. Juice. You need to drink water. I don't want to drink water. I'm like, you need to drink more water. Yeah. I can see your lips are cracking.
Yeah, you were great. So I kept pushing, and then there was one point that I don't think I'll ever forget this feeling. It felt like 2 fists were in my vagina, and it was like wiggling a little bit. And then I said to the doctor, are you spreading me open right now? And she was like, no, that's your baby. And that blew my mind. It was the weirdest feeling. And then the more I pushed, the more I could just feel like his body coming out. But then the weirdest part was in between those contractions, I just had to wait for the next contraction. And so I'm literally just chilling in between contractions with my baby like coming out of me, but I'm not allowed to push until the next contraction.
His head was like out. Oh. And then you had to I hated that because his head was out, And I was like, okay, like, push him out. But then they were like, no, wait. I'm like, you need to wait.
Yeah, it was crazy. A really cool thing that they let me do as well when he was crowning was that I was able to touch his head, which was so cool. But we're just going to show you guys some of that pushing footage that we have. We obviously are only going to show
the top
half of me. But yeah, we'll show you guys some of that footage.
You're doing so good.
Right, push. Amazing. Good work. Yes. Yes. Holy smokes. Good work. So good.
Oh, it's burning.
Yeah.
Are you spreading me open right now?
No, that is your baby. Do you want to reach down and touch baby?
I can see the top of his head.
Should I?
Yeah. Baby's like...
Oh, I'm scared.
Oh, no. Reach forward.
Top of his head.
Yeah. Right there.
What the
That's your
heck?
baby.
What the heck?
Right there.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That is crazy. Oh my gosh.
You're doing it. You're like right there.
You're doing so amazing.
What the heck? That is insane. I'm surprised you're looking, Josh.
Me too.
It's really hard.
You feel okay? You don't feel...
Yeah.
Okay.
Best part of this labor ever.
Yeah.
The mom pushing us.
Baby's
Dad,
crowning,
he's
but
okay.
are you okay?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I don't want him to pass out or anything.
Yeah.
At least we did get it on camera.
Oh,
Alright, here we go.
All
you
right.
got this.
Good.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So.
No!
You're doing great.
That's it.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! That moment that he finally came out and was put on my chest was the best moment of my life. The best moment of my life. It was just surreal. Seeing my baby, oh, I'm gonna cry. I didn't think I was gonna cry.
Every video you cry. Just kidding.
I know for the last 9 months, every video I've cried. I actually think I have. It was just amazing. It's so surreal, like how God has created humans, that they grow inside of their mother for 9 months and then you push them out and it's a full-on baby, and it's just amazing. It's such a miracle that happens every single day. And at first when they put him on my chest, I was just thinking, oh my baby, oh my baby. I think I was even saying that, like, oh my baby, and I was just crying. And then I realized that he wasn't crying, and I just said to them, why is he not crying? And they're like rubbing his back with towels and blankets. They're like, he will. And I got really nervous for a second, and then he just let out the tiniest little and then I started really sobbing because I was like, oh, he's alive. And it was just the best feeling ever. And we just got to do skin on skin, and it was just an incredible experience.
It sure was. Honestly, when he came out at first, I just thought, what the heck, that's my baby.
Yeah.
That's my baby. And it was so special because just seeing you holding on to him like that was just it's indescribable, to be honest.
Yeah, it's incredible. But yeah, we're gonna end the video there. That is our crazy birth story. Didn't go anything how we had planned, but it gave us our little boy, and he's healthy and I'm healthy, and we're just so grateful to God. And if you have questions about the birth, anything that we haven't mentioned that you want to know, please comment them down below, because we would be more than happy to film a birth Q&A answering some other questions. And yeah, we just can't wait to share more of this parenting journey with you guys. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye.